Hi, and welcome to Insights with Nandu. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Thank you for watching the videos, liking them, and commenting on them, and resharing them. Today, we're going to talk about health and your understanding of yourself as a corporate athlete. Why is this important? Well, one of the first things we talked about how to get promoted, we talked about how to manage your career, and we talked about how a career is in fact a marathon. It's not a sprint. We talked about how to break the glass ceiling, etc. It's a marathon. If careers last 30, 40 years, you have to be successful over 30, 40 years. So if you're sprinting out from day one and you get burnt out after 10 years, then you effectively sacrifice the 30 years, which could have been very, very productive for you. So the first requirement, in fact, to building a successful career is to stay alive, is to stay healthy, and to pace yourself throughout your career. Part of the pacing yourself is why we talked about work-life balance a video ago, right? So all of this comes together and is very important. Now, there are many health tips I could share with you for different stages of life. Right now, let me just focus on the middle ages and mid-career period of your life. And this is all based on my personal experience as well as my understanding of the science behind nutrition and the science behind health. I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to this, coming from my background as CEO of Nestlé Nutrition, and then building on that with a lot of reading that I have done on this topic. So first, so obviously, the staying alive, staying healthy part means, especially in your middle ages, you need to have a healthy lifestyle, and you need to be do a regular medical checkup and be appropriate when you need to get intervention basis your doctor's advice, whether it's cardiovascular fitness, whether it's sugar levels, whether it's anything else, thyroid or whatever, bone density. Do regular medical checkups and be appropriate and listen to your doctor's advice. That's the first starting point. I am not a doctor. What I'm giving you is tips based on my experience and my readings, which are not to replace a doctor's advice. Second, when it comes to managing your lifestyle, and that's the bit I'm going to talk about, which is more in the nature of preventative health, staying healthy. So I was in the World Economic Forum in Davos, and I attended a very interesting lecture by Dr. Agus from Berkeley. He's written a very nice book. You might want to check it out. It's called A Short Guide to a Long Life. Fascinating book. One of the things he says is the best way to treat an illness is to prevent falling ill in the first place. And that's what we're talking about right now. One of his tips is apparently one of the most important things for the body is regularity. Be regular. So wake up at the same time, sleep at the same time, eat at the same time, exercise. So this regularity is something apparently your body really appreciates as part of this drive to stay healthy and build a healthy lifestyle. Next thing, and very interesting, he says, I'm quoting Dr. Agus, and he says, listen, our bodies were designed for movement. They were not designed to sit in place for 5 hours a day on your backside looking at the computer. So get up every 30 minutes, get up and walk. So when I was working, for example, I had for myself a standing desk, and my computer was placed on the standing desk, and I used to work standing, so I didn't actually sit down. I frequently had meetings where we went for a walk, and I said, let's not meet in the office and consume more calories. Let's go for a walk. Let's talk while we're walking. So stay active, because don't just default to a sedentary lifestyle. Talking of regularity, when he talked about regularity and we talked about the dangers of jet lag, I put up my hand and said, yeah, doctor, but I'm in a job where I have to travel from Switzerland to Tokyo to South Africa and the Middle East, and I'm jet lagged all the time. He looked at me and said, buddy, you're screwed. So that was the time I realized I probably had to change my lifestyle, which meant retiring early or being able to build more regularity into my schedules. So be regular and be active. Okay, now as part of, so two other things I'd like to discuss as part of regularity and activity. One is exercise and one is diet. Both are very important. As far as exercise is concerned, you can get a fitness coach to help you, get a doctor who is a fitness coach, even better. But in general, regularity of exercise is important. If you are a weekend warrior, that is, you exercise on Saturday, Sunday, and for the rest of the 5 days you live fairly sedentary lifestyle, you're asking for trouble. So exercise needs to be a regular habit. Weekend warriors normally tend to have heart attacks, and this has happened, I've seen it happen to friends of mine, for example. So regularity of exercise is important, and within the regularity of exercise, it's necessary to build two different kinds, or maybe three different kinds of exercise. One is cardiovascular fitness, where you raise your heart rate to an elevated level. I'll tell you what that level should be, and keep it there for about 40 to 45 minutes at a period of time, because that helps heart to be healthier, and get a fitness trainer to help you with this. But apparently the level at which, and wear a heart rate monitor your heart rate when you're exercising. Apparently the correct level, it's 220 minus your age, and you take 75% of that. That's the target level to be at. So 220 minus your age is the maximum heart level that you should not cross under any circumstances, unless your doctor does whatever. But your goal is to be at 75% of that maximum for the 45 minutes that you're exercising. So that's one kind of exercise you need to build in, which is cardiovascular exercise. The second kind of exercise you need to build in is strength training. And strength training is something most of us are not aware of and we ignore. And particularly the big muscles, the muscles in your core, the muscles in your legs, not only the glamorous stuff over here, but because apparently muscle building has a number of benefits. It makes your bones stronger, so it prevents the bone decay. Secondly, it actually improves the body metabolic rate, so it counteracts to some extent the slowdown of the body metabolism with age. And it basically, if your metabolism is faster and you have more muscles, it means your body continues to burn more calories even when you're sleeping. And most of us have this risk of having excess calories. And that brings me to the comment on diet. So on diet, of course, it's what you eat, it's how much you eat, it's also, and these are the two that most people talk about, what you eat, and there's enough advice out there to say, listen, try to reduce your refined carbohydrates, sugars, go for complex carbohydrates, make sure you have sufficient protein, make sure you have the good quality of fats, not the saturated fats, definitely not the trans fatty acids. Some saturated fats are good. I mean, for example, rapeseed oil or ghee, for example, butter oil, which has a good balance of omega-3 and omega-6, is actually now more and more accepted as good for you. Particularly some specific medium chain triglycerides coming out of coconut oil, etc. So be aware of the what you eat. There's enough said about that. I don't talk much about that. and try to avoid some of the bad stuff in the what you eat. How much you eat is something you have to figure out, and you need to realize over time, as your body metabolism slows down, your requirement for calories is also coming down. You know what they say is the size of your stomach is the size of your fist. That's the size of your stomach. So just think and look at the size of your plate and how much you're putting into this little fist. If you put too much into it, it's elastic, it'll expand, it'll become the size of two fists. So be very aware of the quantity. Simple tips like using a smaller spoon, using a smaller plate, and slowing down the speed at which you eat can help you control the quantity. Now, the one thing that nobody talks about, which is probably one of the most important things in dietary control, is the when you eat, what you eat. Because even during the day, our bodies are designed, we follow a circadian rhythm. And in the mornings, our metabolic rate is going up and it peaks around noon together with the sun. That's why we wake up and we are active. In the evenings, our metabolic rates are going down. That's why we feel sleepy and we want to go to sleep. And this rhythm has evolved over thousands of years of our ancestors following a routine that followed the light, followed the sun. So therefore, our bodies are not designed to live in a 24-hour day where we use artificial light to extend the daylight hours arbitrarily. You know what they say, the old adage, breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. That is actually, apparently, nutritionally speaking, very appropriate. You have the bigger meals when your metabolism is high, and when your metabolism is going down, have the smaller meals. Related to this is the more and more evidence now coming up on the benefits of fasting. Apparently, our bodies are designed to fast for a period of 12 to 14 hours every day, which is if our ancestors used to eat during the daylight hours and fast during the nighttime hours. So there is that pattern that's built in, and depending on your geography, these times can vary a little bit where your ancestors evolved. Apparently the human species evolved with periods of starvation and periods of not eating, prolonged periods. So there's again some evidence that shows that our bodies actually respond well to periods of calorie deprivation, periods of fasting. So all religious systems, have some amount of fasting built into it, whether it's Ramadan in the case of Islam, whether it's Lent in the case of Catholicism, whether it's the fasts in the case of Hinduism on a regular frequency based on the cycle of the moon, etc. So in my particular case, I try to fast for about 14 hours a day, gap between dinner. So dinner by 6 p.m., breakfast at 8 a.m., that's 14 hours. And once a month, I try to extend the 14 hours to a 24-hour fast. So I have breakfast and I eat nothing till the next day when I eat breakfast. Do I find it helps? Yes, I find it helps. I find it keeps my weight under control, my blood sugar and my blood chemistry under control. And actually, I don't feel any deprivation or loss of energy as a result. I do not recommend this to you unless you do it with medical supervision. So I'm just sharing with you some lifestyle tips and understanding coming from my own experience of what's worked for me. You don't have to follow the same. You have to experiment in consultation with your doctor and figure out what is right for you. But the reason I'm talking about all of this is to say, remember, to have a successful career, you first have to stay alive and you have to stay healthy, right? The one thing we have not talked about is the importance of hydration, and many of us do not drink enough water, particularly women, because of the status of bathrooms. They try to avoid drinking too much water. That's something you have to find a solution to, because hydration is very important. Also, something we have not talked about is sleep. And it goes back to what Dr. Agus said about regularity. You need to consciously figure out how much sleep you need. At my age, at this time, I figured out I need about 7 hours of sleep every night to function very well and feel rested. And I try to plan for that. So after, let's say, 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon, I do not have any caffeine. That helps me go to sleep because my body metabolizes and processes caffeine very slowly. So likewise, alcohol consumption can get you to sleep fast, but then you don't have a restful sleep and you wake up 3-4 hours later feeling quite unwell. So be very aware of what helps your sleeping patterns, what your natural sleeping patterns are, and what interferes with those. So try to work on all of these levers. Apart from the stress, which we spoke about the last time, work on lifestyle, work on exercise, work on diet, work on sleep, work on hydration, and do all of this. If you're making changes, do it in consultation with your doctor and a proper medical diagnosis. Because definitely I do not wish you making any changes simply based on what has worked for me. Okay, what I'm saying is figure out what is right for you in consultation with your doctor, and if you build yourself a healthy lifestyle, that is going to give you a much better chance of having a long-term, sustained and successful career. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please like the video, please comment, and please do share it with your friends, colleagues, family members, and anybody who could benefit. And yes, if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.